Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome back to Ferris Farming Organic. Today, we're doing some more row crop cultivating and some organic soybeans. Now, these soybeans were hit by hail. You can see they're a little bit thin in some places. This field did have some hail damage, unfortunately, but they recovered pretty well. This just kind of skips every once in a while where the hail took off leaves and it didn't grow, and then just never came back good. And today the weeds we're trying to take out, this stuff right here, you can see this grass is a little bit uprooted. That's probably from the previous cultivation pass, but you can see there's weeds growing down in here. There's actually beans coming back from that hail. You can see this stem was knocked off and it's trying to come back. So that's kind of the battle that we're going through right now, is going deep enough and going fast enough to cover up those small weeds, but not going too fast to cover up the beans that are trying to come back. Now, we won't be able to obviously save all the beans. Some of them it's just too late. They won't grow, they won't produce, but a lot of those beans will come back and produce some good organic soybeans for us. But anyway, today is Monday. Should be a good week. 4th of July is this weekend. We're hoping to get a lot done in these bean fields this week. As I said previously, today is Monday. We were kind of hoping to get across all these bean fields at least twice this week before this weekend. And hopefully we see some of these bean fields starting to canopy over and close up, so we don't have to row crop cultivate anymore. Also new and upcoming, oat harvest. We're planning on kind of starting oat harvest when the oats are ready, which is literally what our plan is, but probably a week and a half from this point. It really all depends on the weather, how fast they turn. There are some of the neighbors' oat fields that are all headed out and probably will be ready within a week. So I would assume around a week and a half, maybe two. We'll do a little, not equipment tour, but do a little oat harvest equipment rundown video before we start oats, hopefully, or during oats, one of the two. It's probably gonna end up being after, at the rate that I take videos. But we're not focused on that right now. We're focused on these soybeans. I think myself, personally, I've done about 4 passes of weed control across this field. So there's been a lot of equipment ran across this field. I also think we have hand weeded twice, maybe once the entire field, and the second time was just patches. But as far as weed pressure goes, this field looks really clean. Just kind of unfortunate that this field did get hail damage, because these two fields that are right next to each other looked really good before that storm came through. But like I said earlier, they bounced back pretty well, so hopefully they just keep bouncing back. As always, guys, if you're a farmer, or really wherever you're at, just comment how the weather is where you guys are. I know a lot of people have been dealing with tornadoes, derechos, all that fun stuff. Too much rain, not enough rain. So just comment what camp you're in at the moment. I've mentioned the word canopy and shaded in a few times in the past few videos when I'm talking about soybeans. So what that means is when the beans get tall enough and the leaves get big enough, they'll shade in the middle of the row. That way there's no sunlight going in between the beans or in the middle of the bean rows. So that means we can't really cultivate. Once they get to that point, we'll actually damage the beans with the tracks. We run 18-inch tracks. These are 30-inch rows. But eventually the beans will get big enough that we can't get the tractors in it without damaging the rows. So that is why we kind of have to, or not kind of, that is why we stop row crop cultivating probably the 2nd or 1st week in July, which is coming up really quick. Obviously that changes all with plant dates and the weather, but this year we had all of our beans in the ground and planted before May 11th or May 12th. Sam or Max can correct me on that, but we had a pretty good bean planting season, and honestly it's been a pretty good growing season overall. Obviously we talked about some grass issues, and obviously this field had hail damage, but overall, I mean, when you compare it to last year, it's been a very successful so far year of farming. And back to why we'll stop cultivating. If you do your job the first you know, the month of June and the month of May of staying in front of the weeds. By the time those beans canopy over and it shades in, if you're in front of the weeds enough, the weeds won't grow as fast as the beans because they're not getting sunlight. And the hope is you set the weeds far enough back that the beans can thrive instead of the weeds. Kind of took the long way around to get to that point, but that's kind of the idea of organic farming, is stay in front of the weeds until it shades in, and then hopefully you just did your job good enough. And I would say right now this cultivator's doing a very good job. So yeah, that's kind of the stage of farming and weed control that we're in for beans. Obviously corn has been done for about 2 weeks now, so we're kind of just hoping that we can get these beans canopied over, shaded in within the next week or two. And in the meantime, we will continue to cultivate. Cultivators are the only thing running. We are not running anything else. We're not running rotines. Obviously you're not running rotary hose. Laser weeder's not running. The flamers are not running. Down here it's just strictly cultivators. The tine weeders, the beans are getting too tall. They're starting to hit the bed of the tine weeders and it's starting to damage them. So we are moved on to strictly cultivator season. Anywho, I'm gonna sit you guys down for a little bit, let you guys charge up. We'll pick you guys up in a bit. Well, we got rained out. Better go to the lake. So the reason I'm getting out here quick, last year, about those trees, the other side of the trees, to about where I'm at, you can see a different color in the beans if I took the drone up, but it was underwater for like 2 months last year. Quite a bit of it. Wasn't much growing here. No corn, pretty much just weeds. And we're feeling it again this year. You can tell this has been hand weeded. There's a lot of weeds pulled, and just look how many weeds are coming up. All of these right here, if we don't take them out, we'll choke out those beans in like a week. So what we're doing is not really taking out these big weeds. We're trying to take out the little ones before they become big weeds. And as I'm sure you guys can imagine, it's much easier to take out a small weed than a massive one. So that is why this passive cultivation is very important. It's why every pass is very important. As far as like the big weeds go that are in the row of beans, sometimes we can't get them out with cultivators, and that is why we hand weed. Especially the big patches, it's pretty hard or pretty tough to get a large patch of weeds out with just mechanical weeding. You almost have to go hand weed. We were actually on this field last Saturday, so 2 days ago, but it had just rained and it's pretty hilly this farm, so I was sliding a little bit, so I moved over to those other 2 fields, but now we're back and it's dry and it's working good. This field's only, I don't know, 6 miles away from those fields we were in that got hail. This got a little bit of high wind, but not so bad. That cornfield over there is also ours, and that was tipped over for like 3 days, but it recovered really well as well. Definitely gonna have to hand weed here. A few button weeds are popping through the beans, which is not good, but the grass seems to be under control much more than it was probably 2 weeks before. Looks a lot better now. I'm also able to go about 6.6, which is nice. Getting quite a bit more done. We're actually getting a little less than 50 acres done per hour. There is a little bit of roll in this field, so I might have to slow down a little bit on the side of some of those hills, but going, yeah, about 7, throwing a good amount of dirt. I did depth in my cultivator, I guess. I put the whole thing down a little bit, and I tilted the 3-point back just a little bit to throw a little bit more dirt. At this point in the year, in the kind of stage the beans are at, it's not so much about going out and like actually changing the height and depth of the gauge wheels. It's more the pitch of the 3-point and the actual height of the cultivator bar, and obviously keeping up on fresh sweeps, fresh bogey or gauge wheels. It's not so much about actually doing those small little changes, it's more the big ones from field to field at this point. After you dial in the gauge wheels and they're all even, that's really the only time you touch those. Obviously if you change a gauge wheel and it's a different size or something, you might have to adjust it a little bit, but yeah, there's not a ton to change at this point, just speed and depth. Speed and depth. I'm sure some of you guys, not all of you, but some of you probably saw that I posted 2 videos on Sunday. I'm quick to tell you why that happened. So editor Mitch, who is 2 weeks in to doing all the editing for my videos and stuff, like shorts, Instagram, TikTok, done a phenomenal job. We're just kind of ironing out some of the, I don't know what you would call it, just how this will all work. I've never had someone who has helped me edit before. Up to this point in the YouTube channel, I have done all the editing, all the filming, pretty much by myself. So there's a lot to figure out on just sharing content, how we're gonna go about sharing it back and forth, and yeah. So between the 2 of us, we ended up uploading the video twice and scheduling it twice, and then we made edits obviously to the 1 video and uploaded it again. That is why there's 2 videos uploaded. For that I apologize. Hopefully it does not happen again. With that being said, we are closing in on this field. We got that much done. Let me put the cultivator down real quick. Got just that much done that. We've been here for maybe 2 hours, so about 2 hours left. And I would say this field across the board looks pretty good. There was a big wet spot on the west side that kind of borders the cornfield. That actually this year looks really good, surprisingly, compared to the other wet spots on fields that I've seen. This one by far looks the best. This is the same field, and this is how different the beans look on the east side compared to the west side. This side also had 0 wet spots last year. Obviously the same amount of equipment has gone across it, but this side looks really good. If you look down there underneath some of that, you can see we do have some flowers starting to come in on some of these beans, so that's super exciting. Obviously we have, you know, a couple bigger weeds in the row of beans that I probably won't be able to get out, but the hope is if I can throw enough dirt, I can at least bend that down like that, or this grass in here. I hope I can at least bend it down a little bit and cover it up. We're also gonna walk behind the cultivator quick and just make sure we're doing a good job still. So you can see like I'm not getting all of that grass bunched over, but like there's a piece there I flattened out. Not ridging it up a ton, but I'm throwing a bunch of dirt in the row and bending over some of that grass. I might try to go a little bit deeper and throw a little more dirt. With the beans being this tall, I can do that, and I'm going to. Just the difference between this field on the west side to the east side is just crazy to me. It is kind of hilly on this side, so on these flat parts, I might be able to maintain 7. I think these beans are definitely tall enough to withstand that, but I'm not sure going along the hills if I'm gonna be able to maintain 7 or not. I might have to slow down a little bit on the hills. So all that I did there was adjust my 3-point tilt, which is right there. With my 5th hydraulic, I also set down the whole cultivator with a 3-point, which is this one, down to 39% is what we're set at right now. That way the front shovels are still in the ground and the back ones are digging a little bit deeper, throwing a little bit more dirt this way. And camera doesn't pick it up really good, but this is where we are kind of slanted a little bit, so I don't want to drift too much. With this being 24 rows, it's pretty heavy, so it does sway a little bit on this 3-point mount. But compared to a pull type 24 implement, the 3-point mounted stuff does much better on the side of hills and stuff, I would say, from personal experience. You guys can, I guess, talk about it in the comments if you feel some type of way, I guess. Anyway, yeah, hopefully finish this field up in about an hour and a half, and I think we're gonna be moving back to the home place here. So this is actually going to be the last pass, quote unquote. We'll come across one more time probably, but we're not going to do it right away. We're going to wait for either a rain or a little while before we do it one more time, and then we'll ridge it up really good, or try to throw a bunch of dirt on the final pass, you know, get one more good kill and set the weeds back one more good time. One more time good. Anyway, yeah, after we finish this field, there's a tine weeder parked on this field as well. We're gonna park this one over there, take the tine weeder back to the Emmitsburg shop, and leave this cultivator on this field for when you come back for the last pass. Anyway, I want to thank you guys for watching. As always, if you enjoyed today's video, leave a like. If you're not subscribed, subscribe. You already know. Catch you in the next one.